The sixth expression of Gemini is evaluation, and it follows the previous one, which is clearing, and that follows participation. So the second half of Gemini, participation, clearing, and evaluation. We start with the first degree of that last expression, which is the 26th degree of Gemini. And the reason why I've chosen this one is because that happens to be both Julie's sun sign and my Venus. So Julie and I have that conjunction. Her sun and my Venus are in conjunction, an exact conjunction. So we're talking about the establishing of the theme of this idea of evaluation. So Gemini has been really interested in trying all sorts of things and inquiring into interesting things. That's generally Gemini. And when they become a little bit more mature or tired of a general inquiry, they start to get a bit more focused and eventually clear out all the things which are of less concern and come eventually to this sense of evaluation. And if we remember the glyph for Gemini, the symbols of a Roman numeral for 2, it's always to do with this or that, thinking or feeling, for example. And it's a process of evaluation is started in this expression by the 26th degree, which is the winter frost in the woods. So this is your Sabian symbol, your basic one, Julie. And it's an image of a tree which is stunningly beautiful, even though it's got no leaves. You know, you think about a forest, and like right now, it's the most beautiful week in the year for a forest because of all the color and the leaves and everything. It's the leaves that makes a forest really beautiful, except for one phenomenon, which is what we're discussing here. And that's when it's naked of all its leaves, and there's this quality of frost. I don't, has anybody ever seen hoarfrost? Do you know what that is? Have you seen it? It's some combination of pressure and temperature where it suddenly gets very cold, really quickly, and the moisture doesn't evaporate, the moisture freezes, and there's this amazingly beautiful natural appearance, which is more likely to be seen, to be honest, in Latvia than it is in Ireland or England. And I saw it once in Lithuania, and it's like amazing, the most beautiful thing I think I can remember. And that's the image I have for this degree in Gemini. And it's seeing things in their essence and finding that essence beautiful, not the clothes, not the glamour, not the embellishment, not the decorations, for example, of a person. You know, is actually cutting right down to the naked truth of them and finding the beauty in that. So it's looking for the essence of the beauty in a person or a thing. And if you apply that to yourself, ridding yourselves of non-essential and finding the truth in beauty and the beauty in truth. So you relate to this, apparently.
Well, I was just saying today about clearing away everything that's not needed. I just want to clear it all away.
Are you much motivated by beauty, would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, beauty, but not false beauty, you know, natural beauty.
Essential beauty, we could
say.
Yeah. Oh, me too. You know, I mean, I spent my life in the pursuit of beauty, and then I'm the same as you. I don't get off on glamour at all. It doesn't move me. The embellishments don't touch me, but the essence really does.
But just in the last few weeks, it's been really, you know, lots of stuff that I've got lots of stuff now that I need to clear through. So my dad's stuff from the camper van, stuff that it's not needed. I want to clear it out. I want a more simple life, but keep the things that are beautiful.
So let me read this. Beneath all of our urges and feelings which arise out of being incarnated physically, there exists the essential self, This is real in a way that all external expressions are not. And we can only resonate that purest of vibrations when we are pruned of our dressing and naked of glamour. We can then see the most beautiful truth of who we really are. And the true perception of beauty is a spiritual experience.
So how did that touch you? It clearly did.
Yeah. I think it's just feels very, it would be a relief to have that. To just strip everything away and just.
It's good that you use that word. I feel that too. That there's something draining about embellishment. Somebody trying to be something that they're not, adding to the beauty, only takes away from it, I think. But it is draining. It'd be a relief to be rid of that, actually. And that's what you get quite a lot in society. Most people try and make themselves a little bit better, don't they? A little bit prettier, and it can be quite draining for me.
So this is your Venus, James.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which of course relates totally to beauty, doesn't it? It's the planet of beauty, so it seems quite an appropriate place for it. And it's my life, isn't it? I've written songs to try to be beautiful, and dances and words, and I'm always trying to get something out, and it's always, it's not quite essential, And my favorite form of poetry was haiku. You come across that?
Oh,
before?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's stripped down to the basics, isn't it? Yeah. And I spent a year of my life writing haiku.
And your music and your words are beautiful. I always find them beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. This is the hook, actually, of your site. That is the reason why I found you.
Wow.
Because everything you say is to the point. There is no word which would be random.
That's great. After I've written something, I go back and I try and reduce it by, as much as I can. I take out every single word that I can take out to say as few words, to say the same thing in a smaller number of words.
There is an expression. I'm really sorry. I didn't have time to write you a shorter letter. Have you come across that one?
That's lovely.
James, I wanted to get back to something that Julie said regarding her expression, and she was saying that I wish I have that. You were describing her expression, and she said, "I wish I have that." With the sun in that degree, she is that. She doesn't have that. How does the planet in there affect the actual expression? Because with the sun, this is really what she is, and not if she have it as it or not, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The planet in the degree changes it hugely, and I think people who know Julie would know that she does have that. It's not that she doesn't have it. It's just a part of her is not ready to announce that she has that and claim it. It's a different part, but you're pretty in alignment with this wisdom, aren't you, Julie? Really?
More so, yeah, moving towards it.
Less is more for you.
I had a possible job interview today, and what was lovely about it was it wasn't an interview, it was an informal chat. And so I didn't feel like I had to put on a show, take all my qualifications. It was just, do we get on, the people that I was talking to? And it felt very natural. And I thought, it reminds me of this, is that actually if it's going to be good, I don't need to be putting on a show or trying to persuade somebody or all of that. But also I have a question. If this is my sun, then this is my outward expression. With my moon, I would feel more that I am my moon, would I not? Do you see what I mean?
I do see what you mean. It's a huge question to answer very simply, but the sun isn't only your outer expression, it's the essence nature.
Okay.
And the moon is somewhat deeper in the sense that it's unconscious. So even though the sun is part of your inner nature, the moon is really very much more deeply hidden. And so a part of you would feel more comfortable to be in the moon when you were not owning yourself fully. But when you're owning yourself fully, the natural condition for a person is to be dynamic. You know, the sleeping, the unconscious state of our being is the restful state, isn't it? So the moon is more where we go to rest, and the sun is what we're doing when we're awake and alive and conscious. And you're a dynamic woman. I mean, you go swimming in the sea and you have this kind of experience of the essence of beauty, don't you? I mean, you like being up against the elements, don't you?
Yeah, I like experiencing joy, and through singing or experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're very Gemini-like. I mean, there's a lot more reasons for that. In fact, we're just about to come to one because your Mars is in the next degree.
Oh my goodness.
You got Venus in the previous one, which we haven't studied today, but your Sun is the 26th and your Venus was the 25th. And now your Mars, we're going to study, is the 27th. So this is usually the second degree in a batch of expressions is a contrast to the first one. The first one sets the theme of that expression. And the theme of the expression of evaluation starts with essential beauty. Now, the contrast to that is Gemini 27, a gypsy coming out of the forest. And this is moving away from nature and dealing with civilization, stepping into involvements that enable growth. So this is your Mars. So even though you might actually want to be in essence and therefore in nature, close to nature, is a part of you that projects yourself into civilized situations, you know, and that makes you more Mars-like when you do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And you are like that, aren't you? You know, you're pretty dynamic in getting involved in groups and being a bit of a forceful presence in some groups as well, in the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
You do make your point. You know, you do move things along if they're getting a bit dry and stale. You know, you bring a Mars-like quality sometimes to your group experiences, don't you?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's a great whistleblower.
That's
Well, and also if there's, you know, if everyone's ruminating over something and I'm like, come on, let's just make a decision here. You know.
So the gypsy's coming out of the forest. The gypsy wants to live in nature and eat nuts from trees, and you know, it's familiar enough to live in that very simple way. But it's coming out of the forest and just trying to find out what civilization is like. You know, so it's moving away from nature into structured ways to grow in consciousness. That's the purpose. Is it growthful to do that? Normal rhythms of life inevitably strip us down to basics, like it or not. The truly advanced soul will actually seek such a self-revelation. They choose to leave behind their natural inclinations in order to relate from a place of utter authenticity and awareness, in order to shift up to higher realms of being. So that which has been gained in your consciousness by being naked in the beauty of nature then moves into civilization and speaks of that, presents that. That's the image.
Good to hear. Mm.
Okay. 28th degree of Gemini is the attempt, the third degree in the batch is the attempt to reconcile the previous two. So in the first one, you've got nature, and the second one, you've got civilization. Now we're seeing how do we reconcile that. I think this is brilliant, this one. A man declared bankrupt. Do you know the word bankrupt, Katharina? Yeah, it's when the law takes all your money away, and or you've lost all your money and you got into debt and so on. And here we have the wisdom is that neither success nor failure have lasting significance. Each of them needs to be released. So this is indifference to failure or success. So the man who's been declared bankrupt, so, I don't care, you know. What can you do to me? You know, I don't care. You know, it's that kind of indifference. So whether you're in the natural environment or the city environment, whether you make money or lose money, all of it just doesn't matter.
Mm.
That's indifference, you know, that's the third. And you can see how that's a reconciliation of the previous two. And the wisdom is being supported through a trial and error process. And on the spiritual planes, all failure and success are futile.
That's good to hear.
It's very liberating, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We do get conditioned to think that success is what we need, and failures to be is embarrassing and to be avoided, and so on. But you get to a certain spiritual level, and it's just there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. It's and the Hindus.
It's not the essence of who you are.
It certainly isn't. It certainly isn't that. And in the Hindu teachings, they consider success and failure to be the same thing. In other words, they think, well, that's the end of the project. Because that's what it is, isn't it? You either win or you lose, but either way, you finish that era of your life. And on we go, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of timely to hear, because my career is sort of as a nurse and a health visitor and all of that is kind of coming to an end. And I'm going to be choosing to do something that means that I don't actually need to be a nurse. All of those skills will be helpful, but I don't need that qualification or that success, if you want to put it that way. It's more about me as a person than that qualification.
I think that's part of the gentleness of life is that we do come to a place in our lives as we get older, for sure, where you know you can be much more relaxed about whether society approves of you and whether you're worth your place in life. You know, you're just like, yeah, of course I am. You know, you have to fight for it. That sounds healthy.
Good.
So now we come to your Mercury.
Also in Gemini.
And the 29th degree in Gemini. And this is to do with finding how, very often, the method by which we express this expression. So if we can remember, we're in this expression of evaluation, nature, civilization, failure, success, you know, and we're coming to the way that we know which is of more value to us. And the answer is the first mockingbird in spring. Each new dawn has its own sense of renewed excitement. This is the joy of a fresh start. And we're given a clue here to find out what makes us excited about life. That's the evaluation. If you want to know what is life for, the answer is, well, what makes you excited?
Yeah.
And it'll be different for each of us, and it'll be different for each one of us at different times in our lives. So the idea that this is good and that's bad, this is right, that's wrong, it's nonsense. The final evaluation of life is what's going to make you excited right now, right in this moment, not necessarily tomorrow. Right You know, what's exciting for you right now? That's the evaluation that we're looking for. So that's your Mercury. Is that how you think? Is that how you understand life?
What is exciting for me right now? What motivates me? What gets me up in the morning? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm always thinking about.
Absolutely. You can see the down.
What's the most interesting and thing I can be doing right this moment?
Yeah. And I mean, the downside is that society doesn't really like that, you know, that quality. Society wants you to say what mood you're gonna have next week, and in fact, for the next 10 years, you know, commit to. That's what society is built on, isn't it? That you're going to do the same tomorrow that you did today.
Yeah.
But that's not you, is it?
Richard has to put up with it, I'm afraid.
Well, Richard's got something trying that, as far as I can remember.
Oh, I can. Gosh. Trine Gemini 29.
Well, your sun is in trine to it, isn't it? It's a bit wide.
Libra 26, 25.
25th degree of Libra. Yeah. Conjunct with Julie's Venus.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You ought to get together, you two.
Yeah.
All right. So the 5th degree in this expression is what moves us forward. And here we have the image of bathing beauties.
Ooh.
You know that phrase, you two foreigners? Bathing beauties. In England, they have this terrible thing where they line up women who aren't wearing much clothing, you know. They're wearing swimsuits, and the men have to judge which is the most beautiful woman.
Oh my God, yes.
It's not something that we like nowadays, but apparently men a while ago, 100 years ago, they used to like that kind of thing. Bathing beauties. Now, the idea here is to choose standards to live by. It's not really only to do with beauty, it's to do with any standard. So in this particular example, we're picking a standard of beauty, but generally speaking, we're coming to the end of our sense of evaluation by choosing a standard to live by. So for example, in the case of Julie, with such a strong degree of Gemini, your standard is a lot to do with beauty, it's a lot to do with spontaneity. You know, those would be standards that you'd live by. We would have different ones, each of us, but if you don't choose the values that you live by and you measure yourself by, then there's something missing. You don't know how to make your decisions. You don't know how to make choices.
I think in the other group that we were in, we were talking about no, when we used the word no, and I said something about I would like to think it would be easier to say no if I know that I am not a person who does that, or I am not a person who so if I am a person who thinks this, I am a person, you know, that's standards, isn't it?
That's the point. If you just don't know what your values are, you can't really identify your identity. You know, most of us choose to be something or other. I am of this, that, or the other, and that usually means some values. I am honest, I am of service, I am efficient, I am a good mother, or you know, a reliable person. We choose values to define who we are.
I think the spontaneity and the being in the moment and feeling in the moment, has caused difficulty for me in making decisions. And this is what you're saying about values and making decisions. And
yeah, and that works in your favor. If you want to be spontaneous, certainly you can be, but it's a lot easier to do that if you're spontaneous within a well-defined track of life, within certain limits. If you've got an open field, an open book, then to be spontaneous, actually, it's quite uncomfortable. sooner or later get burned out and confused.
And I think I was more like that when I was younger, because, you know, the parameters are wider when you're younger, aren't they?
They are indeed.
The whole world is your oyster.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the 5 degrees of evaluation. Anybody got any thoughts about it?
It's curious that she has Venus and Mars, and then there's the sun in between to just balance it out. So it's brilliant.
Yeah.
The question is also how to know when is she acting from her sun, then from her Venus or Mars. It's all together. We can never know which is at work
It's true.
at the moment.
It's true. Any close conjunction, and you really do have these 4 planets together in close conjunction, it's not meaningful for you to say which is which, because it's one composite energy. You might be able to tell if there's a slow moving transit, Saturn or something. You might be able to tell, but it's not really meaningful. You know, you are who you are, and that is expressing itself as beauty, as assertiveness, as communication. You know, that's what you do by being you. If
Venus, I presume, is to do with expressing love as well.
But if I asked you which of these four planets do you, or metaphors you just heard as expressions, you feel most close to?
It's hard to know, because it moves between depending on the situation.
Right now?
Right now, probably more Mars-like.
So what was it? How did it sound, this Mars, for you?
that was the Gypsy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gypsy?
Coming out into, so being here with you guys, having to communicate.
Okay.
But obviously, this isn't like normal society, but there's still some element of, I think I feel strong, you know, the Mars thing feels that I have some strength.
Mm.